Good morning. Welcome back to Cedarstone Estate. Today we're going to start a new series. We're going to try to rescue this pond. We've already been doing some work on it. I've already showed it to you in a couple episodes, and right now it needs a good cleaning, and we're going to start that right after this. I'm actually quite surprised. The pond isn't that bad right now. We've already been working with another pond specialty company, and we haven't even used any of their product yet. Just by changing the way we do things, the way we aerate, we've already been able to make quite a difference. Normally, the algae would be 3 times as far out. So after almost 3 weeks, this isn't bad. Now this side, this is actually usually our worst spot in here, but it's not bad. Just by changing how we aerate and a little bit of the product we've been using, it's made a tremendous difference. And so we decided with the other company that we're going to use whatever we have left this year of our previous product, and next year we're going to start working with them. So like I said, it's been about 3 weeks since we cleaned it, and the reason for that is we've been away for 2.5 weeks, and we come back, we had to cut the grass. From there, all that fresh stuff to here is the amount of grass you get when you're away for 2.5 weeks. So needless to say, we had a couple of days of getting caught up, and now we're going to work on the pond. Here's my homemade rake extender. If I don't have that, we have to crawl around on the rocks, and it's pretty dangerous crawling around on the rocks all the time. So this is what we do. So I'm just going to go around and do all this. Some of the stuff you see in there already, those are roots from the trees. The water level's down a little bit right now. We use the pond for watering our flower gardens and power washing vehicles and equipment. So normally the water's probably up another 1.5 feet. And that usually makes the algae worse, but it's actually not too bad. The long pole's handy for getting the stuff way out there. Stirs up some of the bottom muck, but it settles out pretty quick. Some people have suggested filling in the pond, but I couldn't fathom that, and I don't think those people realize the amount of work it would take to fill this in. And besides, it's a beautiful landscaping feature. I just want it to be nice. And I don't need any more grass to cut. A little bit of cleaning up here. Willows are shedding their leaves already. Okay, I don't know if you can see on the camera, there's lots of that seaweed stuff, like goo. So we're just gonna let that dry for a day or so. Be a lot easier to pick up, then it'll pick up just like large dry leaves. And then we'll throw it on our compost pile with the grass cuttings. Now, next thing we're going to do is put the chemicals in the pond. This is what we've been using this year, and it's True Blue water dye. You just rip open that package and throw it right into the pond. What's inside, don't get it on your clothes or your hands or anything, because it will not come off until you wear it off. And we've been using Aquascapes Lake Phosphate Binder and lake bacteria. And these are fine, but they're more geared to a backyard pond than what we have here. And we've tried many different products. We've tried Muckaway, we've tried Ponder, we've tried Pondex. So, and we always just follow the directions on the package, but now we're dealing with Pond Pro, and we're going to be dealing with the knowledgeable people there in their labs. So hopefully we'll be able to put good use to it. Okay, here's our lake bacteria. It's just big packages. I'm going to throw about 8 of those in there. That's double what they could recommend. And in there they recommend about 10. I'm going to put in 15. Again, we've been doing it every 2 weeks instead of every month. And as far as the dye, the water's dark enough so I don't have to add any of that. So why do we use all this stuff? So the pond dye, it darkens the water. Algae likes sunlight, and if you darken the water, it'll keep the sunlight from getting to the algae, and it slows down its growth. The phosphate binder, what it does is you put it in the water and it accumulates all the particles that are in the water and makes it settle down at the bottom. And unfortunately, that creates sludge. And we also get sludge from this field here in the spring. Sometimes we get a little bit of runoff or off the grass here, leaves and stuff, and that creates sludge in the bottom of the pond, and that feeds the algae. So that's why we use this beneficial bacteria. It eats the sludge, or at least tries to. And this stuff's not cheap. It's $120 for 6 packages, and we've already used 2 packages this year. This stuff, that's $200, but that'll last pretty well 2 seasons. Now this one, that's $175. I should have got the bigger package, but basically 2 packages of that will do the season here. And so it's not cheap. For every summer we've been spending $500 to $1,000 on chemicals, and really hasn't really done much, but we're actually starting to see a bit of a benefit now, finally, that we're learning how to do it right. And we aerate, and the reason we aerate is the algae depletes the oxygen, and the oxygen helps the beneficial bacteria. And so we aerate, and I'll show you how we aerate. First off, we have this fountain here. That's a powerhouse fountain. It's 6 feet high and 12 feet round, the pattern. Now it's a 1 horsepower motor. So again, you've got to use money on electricity just like you would a pool. And I'll show you the other aeration we have. So we also use this guy. That's an air pump. This here is a diaphragm, and it just goes up and down like a bellows, and it runs an air line which goes under the ground. And it comes out over here. So I've decided to upgrade my system a little bit. this was the original manifold I had in there, and I found it was pretty small since we're using 3 bubblers. So I made up that manifold there, and I've got each line goes to one of the bubblers, and there's the main line. You'll notice the main line's only 3/8, and the others are 1/2 inch. The pump came with a 3/8 line, and I never thought of changing it. And today I'm going to try changing the line, see the difference it makes. Should be interesting to see. And I actually got 3 good valves on there that I can actually regulate the 3 of them. And what those run into, they run into the bottom of the pond. And these are bubbler rocks. They have very, very fine holes in them. And these sit in the bottom of the pond and little bubbles come out. So this is the bubblers with the 3/8 line. And then I switched it up to the 1/2 inch line. And I didn't really see much difference. I guess the pump only has so much capacity, so I'm not going to bother burying one in the ground to replace it. Now, who would have thought owning a pond would be this difficult? You figure all you do is dig a hole, let water accumulate it, and you're done. Well, unfortunately, that's okay for a little while, but then nature starts taking over, and you have to maintain it just like a pool. So let's carry on with it. Hey, so it's a couple days later. Stuff didn't dry like we wanted it to quite as fast. We had a major thunderstorm yesterday, so I had to wait an extra day. But now she's ready to pick up, and I'll show you what the stuff looks like when it's wet and when it's dry. So this is what it looks like when you pull it out of the water. Wet, gooey stuff. And after you've let it dry for a day or so, it just, actually once it's really dry, it's just like dry paper. So it's a lot easier to pick up that way. So we're just going to rake this stuff, put it in the bucket, and we'll dump it on the compost pile. So that's what we got with one minor cleanup. Normally we're emptying the bucket 2-3 times. So this was quite simple. I'm just going to dump it here on the compost pile, and I got a big pile of dirt there. I'm going to mix that compost in with the dirt later on. So if any of you haven't seen this, this is an old John Deere E55, and we dragged it out of a barn in the middle of winter, and hadn't been running for 10 years, and we cleaned it up, painted it, fixed a bunch of leaks, and now it's really handy. I've got another tractor, but I usually leave the mower on it, and this one here I'll leave the loader on it, and it's just super handy for stuff like this. But let's see how the pond looks after we've cleaned it. Looks so much better after a cleanup. There's still some scunge a little bit down below, but it's really getting a lot better than it was. And I'm really hoping that just by changing our aeration and working with Pond Pro next summer, this thing should be excellent. Thank you very much for watching today. We did a little cleanup. I'm really happy with the results already. I hope we can keep improving it. I'd really like to get this this pond, you know, the landscaping feature that I always wanted. And thanks again for watching. And if you're having any problems with your pond, reach out to the Pond Pro people. Very, very helpful. We'll be dealing with them a lot more in the spring. And I'll put a link in the description. Catch you next time.